even if you brush in a rush. Brits Fluoride Toothpaste starts instant action against tooth decay. Brits, B-R-I-S-K, Brits.
This is Fannie Luce Pupupski, better known as Ups, speaking to you from WKCU-PS Radio Theater. It's another 2023 hot summer day at the Timeless Cocoon, where I welcome people who stop by to share and borrow ideas, books, and stories. We all travel and explore, life itself a journey. When we near its end, we return to a space reminiscent of our beginning. We feel and see the familiar as if for the first time. The imagery and memories of the past warm our being, floating past in our mind's eye of yesterdays. These are the seeds of our essence, the core of our stories. We are each the storyteller of our lives, stories of roller coasters of emotion with an underscore of many musical themes. Each person, each community, filled with stories underscored by music's promise of hope. Let's travel to some beginnings to understand our future while embracing the moment. These moments can be found in small towns across America. To preserve and celebrate them is to celebrate ourselves, because no matter what big cities we visit or travel to, most of us have been nurtured in small towns. Liberty, South Carolina is one of those towns. Travel with me where fact meets fiction, history meets present, and music and other arts nourish the spirit in unexpected and mysterious ways within the theater of the mind in the woods. Liberty is in Pickens County, upstate South Carolina, in the midst of wildlife, woodsy preserves, beautiful rivers, lakes, beaches, campgrounds, and wide open fields. This is part of the magical environment which drew longtime Pickens County resident Temperance Dawn to the Liberty area. A native of the Texas Panhandle, Temperance was an accomplished composer and musician, fascinated with macrobiology. Early on, she learned the only things you can count on are death and taxes. This affected her career choice. After getting her BA in microbiology and an MFA in music at the University of Texas, Austin, she decided it would be useful to study mortuary science at the Dallas Institute of Funeral Service. She was determined to combine her love of playing the piano, which she believed had healing qualities, and her fascination with microbiology, while pursuing a more practical job as a mortician. After graduation, while interning as a mortician in Texas, her grandmother passed and left her a sizable estate in upstate South Carolina. Temperance was her only grandchild and surviving close family. Temperance's parents had passed on years before in an accident while working overseas. Temperance's grandmother had been her only family as well as a mentor for a long time. The estate included money, a home, and several outbuildings in the middle of Pickens County. She took this as a sign that she should create her own mortuary. She hired a funeral director to handle business matters and embalming. This allowed her the freedom to focus on preparing the deceased for direct cremation. She prefers the cleaning, bathing, dressing, and other preparation for proper family identification of the deceased. Because the mortuary complex is in the woods and involves music, Temperance named it Nature's Musical Dreams Mortuary. She plays piano music during body preparation, offers a wide variety of music for services, and provides a healing garden for prayer and meditation. She believes that the woods, wildlife, and music have healing powers, which assist the deceased's spirit with moving on and the healing of the mourners. Over the years, Temperance has gotten to know countless families in Pickens County, especially Liberty. She sees them at funerals, and when she goes to Liberty on routine errands, she's been involved in the passing of generations within the same family. Even though she could retire and travel, she prefers to work. She's become a bit of a local legend because she's somewhat reclusive and shrouded in mystery. No one really knows Temperance. Unlike Temperance, daily life and business in downtown Liberty includes countless people who were born and grew up in the area or chose Liberty for its small-town benefits. They enjoy a more public involvement within the Liberty community. As the early morning sun rises over the Liberty track and field, a variety of people filter through the gate to begin walking, jogging, and race walking. Mothers with babies and strollers, homeschooled students, retirees, young men and women. Others ride past the track on bikes or during their walk around town, sometimes with their dogs. Another day begins in Liberty. Liberty Parks and Recreation Department plays a critical role in Liberty. P&R's director, Josh Black, oversees many services and special events in cooperation with the Liberty Facilities Department, Sarlin Library, area sports teams, utilizing town parks, baseball fields, track and field, gymnasiums, and the Rosewood Center, home to the Liberty Museum and available for arts activities and community projects. Coach Black shared his strong commitment to liberty. As a longtime resident where my children are growing up, I want to collaborate within the community to encourage toward greater growth, especially in the arts, sports, and recreation. Since time began, music, rhythm, and sounds of the universe and people have connected to spirituality, embracing the earth's faiths and cultures. Sometimes someone's devotion embraces a healing blend of music and spirituality. Alyssa Connor of nearby Clemson University's Performing Arts Department personifies that experience. Alyssa realized a dream deferred while nurturing her commitment to her small-town family life. At the same time, she benefits from the global cultures involved with the university.
When I was little, both of my parents were heavily involved in music. That's how they met. Growing up, I was a part of choirs throughout elementary school and middle school and in high school. Went into college as a music education major. During my degree, while I was earning my vocal degree, I also got married, took a break from school, and then had 2 babies. And then finished my degree. I always believe that God has plans for us. Work with the choral department at Clemson University. I'm the assistant to the choral director, essentially. And so it all has kind of come full circle, and now I'm getting to pretty much live and breathe music every day. And our choir just recently took a trip to Europe and England and France. Our hardest venue to secure to sing in was the Canterbury Cathedral. And from the second I walked in, and I cried until we performed. It was crazy. Felt so silly, but in another sense I didn't, because it was very humbling to be in there. Why I was so emotional, and it was because I didn't get that opportunity when I was 20. I think it would have been different. I don't think I would have. I think I still would have had the awe factor, but it wouldn't have been as emotional. If you're a Christian, you understand the Holy Spirit. Even if you're not religious, you can still feel that spirituality between the music and the song. A young girl's dream may not have been exactly what she thought it would be, but is exactly what it needed to be with music.
Alyssa's story reminds us of the power of music. Most people have experienced the uplifting and healing power of music and its transformative effect on community life. Decades of documented research supports these experiences. Music's potential for healing damaged DNA is on the horizon. Liberty area woods, rivers, lakes, and wide open space were once the home of Cherokee Indians. Temperance studied Cherokee legends of how some of the upstate's towns, rivers, lakes, parks, woods, and waterfalls got their names. She also found evidence that her grandmother and mother descended from the Cherokees. She thinks that was the reason her grandmother refused to sell her home. Temperance respects the property and tries to preserve the grounds. She's concerned that generations of Cherokees are buried there. Disturbing their graves in historic campgrounds doesn't feel right. Her grandmother was the first homesteader of the property hundreds of years after it passed through the state government, a post-war settlement, then to a developer who sold it to Temperance's grandmother. Temperance feels the Cherokees are part of the family legacy, along with the county's history of several cultures while working side by side to develop the area. African Americans and Europeans, especially English, Scottish, and Irish. The serenity of the woodsy wildlife and open landscapes provided a needed peace. It happened one fall, a meeting that would shape Temperance's future. Fall was her favorite time of year. She loved the leaves' vibrant colors and crunchy feel beneath her feet. It was unusually chilly that morning. She waited to go on her daily walk until after lunch when the sun was high in the sky. Afterward, she went to the healing garden. She sat on the bench, began her prayer and meditation, and felt the garden's familiar peace. Her time in the garden strengthened her. She focused on her daily guidelines: faith, hope, charity, peace, love, wellness, and creativity. The garden wasn't traditional with live flowers. It had 7 posts made of strong wood, each etched with one of her guidelines, topped with artificial flowers. The garden was part of a spacious clearing in the woods. She focused on each guide and then all at the same time. There were several clearings in the woods where trees wouldn't grow. Cherokee Indian campfire ashes had changed the soil composition, which prevented tree growth. The open spaces were usually circular and provided areas for mourners to gather for ceremonies, prayers, and picnics after a funeral. Temperance had an arrangement with a nearby mortuary for families who wanted the deceased to be buried. She didn't want to risk disturbing a Cherokee burial site. While focusing on the creativity post, Temperance thought about the Cherokee devotion to their music and the role it played in their lives. She enjoyed studying how every culture has music in their rituals from cradle to grave. Even though her passion was composing and playing piano, she enjoyed drumming, especially the cajon, which she had made out of wood from her property. She wanted to write a story about the role music played in Cherokee life, but her writing skills were sorely lacking. She imagined herself collaborating with a writer who might inspire her to compose experimental music. The sun was warm, and the garden relaxed her so much she started to doze. She was jolted awake by a soft touch on her shoulder. She looked up into the smiling face of a man who felt very familiar. He apologized for interrupting. Someone in the office had told him where to find her. He had a calming voice and friendly manner. She invited him to join her. "How can I help you?" "I'm Judah Springfield." "I'm Temperance Dawn. We know each other, don't we?" He held out his hand and turned it over. On his wrist was a painted butterfly. Temperance stared at it, looked deeply into his eyes, and turned her hand over, revealing a painted butterfly on her wrist. She threw her arms around him. "Butterfly, where have you been? Grandma passed on. I couldn't find you." "It's taken too long for me to find my way back to you. I'm sorry about Grandma not being here for you. I'm not one to look for people on the internet, but I felt you needed me. I found an online obit about her, and it mentioned you as survivor. I hope you're not mad for my being gone so long." I could never be mad at you. I understand why you had to move on and find your place in the world. Do you remember the day I showed up here? I'll never forget. I was playing with Autumn, looked up, and there you were, smiling down at me, just like you're smiling now. Autumn jumped up. You caught her and held her like you knew each other. She began licking your face. It was fun to watch because you were dirty from head to toe. It was as if she knew you wanted to get clean. I was embarrassed, so dirty. Autumn made me feel so good. I'd been walking and getting rides in the back of lumber trucks coming down the mountain from North Carolina. Autumn's licks and your smile were the best things that had happened to me in months, maybe years, because of my home abuse. You showered and ate in the farm building while Grandma was in the house fixing dinner. Autumn stayed close by as your protector. She knew she had someone new to take care of. Judah and Temperance talked for hours, but avoided rehashing his childhood abuse and her pain from losing her parents so young. Judah had been her confidant and close companion during that difficult time. Her grandma invited him to live in the back room of the farm building, gave him chores, and homeschooled him. She couldn't enroll him in school because of the legal paperwork, and she couldn't bring herself to find his family and return him to his abusive home situation. They told people he was a grandnephew on her deceased husband's side of the family. The locals didn't question it because Judah's ethnicity was debatable. Some thought he was white, some thought black, others guessed Hispanic or Cherokee. The truth was all four, given centuries of migratory patterns of worldwide cultures into North Carolina, where he was brought as a child. He wasn't sure of where he was born. Temperance, Autumn, Grandma, and Judah considered themselves family. Where have you been? What have you been doing? With all the cooking lessons Grandma gave me, I've gotten work all over as a chef, including Europe, Africa, and Asia. Her writing lessons allowed me to tutor children privately. I also do some freelance writing for newspapers and magazines, but I've been wanting to do something more creative, maybe experimental. I'm surprised you didn't become a composer and musician, the way you were always playing the piano and making up songs. Remember the little shows we put on for Grandma? We thought we were also entertaining the wildlife. We called it Woodsy Theater of the Mind. I'm still doing that. I traveled and performed professionally. When Grandma passed on, I had to come back here. This was home. I didn't want a stranger buying it, and I wanted to be here in case you found your way back. Now you're here. Do you still play compose? Music is still a big part of my personal life, as well as the mortuary services. It was his healing qualities for me, as well as the mourners. Lately, I've been wanting to collaborate on a project, something experimental, which would involve storytelling and music. But my writing, as you may recall, is lacking. Maybe that's why I felt compelled to come back. I sensed you needed me. We'll work on it together. We can call the project 2 Butterflies. Temperance laughed with tears in her eyes. Oh, how I've missed you. Same here, Butterfly. Temperance and Judah are still together. They have a son and daughter named Freedom and August in celebration of the day they met. An artist friend of theirs wrote a story which personifies their life together in the woods. Such stories are part of Liberty, an evolving small town in changing times where history, tradition, legend, and mystery fuse fact and fiction with the healing power of the arts, especially music. Liberty is just one of countless small American towns which work toward redefining its identity. Within that process, it's still able to offer a wide variety of services and amenities which meet people's everyday needs. Small town survival is a collaborative effort, like an artistic endeavor, with vision, imagination, energy, commitment, collaboration, inspiring leadership, and an expanding spirit. Liberty will meet its goals. Anything worthwhile takes time. Liberty is a town where freedom builds hope. Because of its history and commitment, it will find its way toward becoming a beacon for other small towns. Thank you for visiting with me today. This is Fannie Luce Pupupski, better known as UPS, signing off from WKBC-UPS Radio Theater. Have a unique day.
Even if you brush in a rush, Grit Fluoride Toothpaste starts instant action against tooth decay. Grit, B-R-I-S-K, Grit.